Hey everybody, it's Rusty again from Collector Auctions, and today I'm in the car again, heading on a road trip down to Crofton, Maryland, to a comic book shop called TBC Comics, To Be Continued Comics. And these guys are hosting a comic book swap today, put on by the Facebook group D&V Comic Collectors. Now, I'm looking forward to this. I've done one of these swap meets with these guys before, had a good time, got some good books. I didn't get to go to the second one, but I hear it was really good, and I'm getting ready to go into the shop. In fact, I'm parked. I'm sitting in front of the store now. I just watched as a whole group of guys went in with their comics, so at least now I know where I'm heading to. And I hope to make some good trades today. I've got two short boxes filled up with a lot of good keys. I've got a lot of raws in one box, and I've got a lot of slabs in the other box. I don't know how this is going to go. I hope to be able to take some photos and some video from the show, but stay tuned. We'll see how the day goes, and hope you enjoy this. Alright guys, so as you can see, I did not take a lot of footage from the comic book swap meet that was held at TBC Comics, and the big reason for that was there was very little space provided to the group to do the swap meet. They had one little table that was maybe room for about 6 short boxes and all, and it was pretty much filled up by the time I walked in. I did go in there a few minutes late because I was filming the beginning of the show. I literally, as I'm filming the intro to this video today, I was watching everybody go in just as they opened. So I knew I was running a few minutes late, but I kind of expected a little bit more space to be provided. And it, honestly, I did not really enjoy the swap meet part today. We needed more space, and it didn't work out this time. And in fact, I did not make any trades during this. And then the other thing that the comic book shop did was they had a big $1 sale in their other room. They have another room there at this shopping center where they have a lot of long boxes where it's just, there's a ton of stuff in there. There's some good keys in there, and you could spend all day going through every one of these boxes. I think they even had some bigger keys that they threw in there to see if people would find them. And I will just say this, I enjoyed talking with the people at the swap meet, and I went through the other books. Honestly, I didn't see anything there that really struck a nerve that I needed to get, and few people went through my boxes as well, and nobody really was interested in anything I brought this time. And after about, I'd say about 50 minutes, I basically just packed up those boxes and I took them back to the car. I mean, for the most part, some of the swap meet people were already leaving. And I think it has more to do with, it was the space provided. That was the biggest issue for me. But I did come back in the shop and ended up going up to the dollar sale. I wanted to see what this other room was like. I've heard some really good things about this room with all these long boxes just filled up with books. And honestly, some of these things you shouldn't even be paying $1 for, but you could find some really good books in there. And I spent a little time there, but I was a little bit tired of the day at that point, being a little bit disappointed in the swap meet, but I wanted to go through the books a little bit just to see what was up there. So I ended up buying a few things, and we'll just go through these real quick, and I'll show you for $1 a piece. And I could have spent another couple hours there, but honestly, it was Sunday when this was filmed, when my Dolphins were taking on the Denver Broncos. The game had already started, and I was looking forward to getting back and pulling up the game on the phone to watch. In fact, I had started watching it there while I was in the shop, and I knew that the Dolphins had already started scoring pretty good. They were in a pretty good position, and I was like, how much longer am I going to stay here? So I cut it short and ended up coming home. Well, I went to lunch and I sat there and watched the game, and I came home and I watched the rest of the game, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. As you can see, I'm wearing my Merino jersey here in celebration of what the Dolphins did to the Denver Broncos. Guys, by the time you see this video, we'll probably have already played Buffalo, and I'm hoping that they just keep up this momentum during that part. But for at least 1 week, it was just unbelievable what they did to the Broncos. You don't see that except maybe in college football, where you've got some top 10 team taking on some double-A school. I mean, it was just unbelievable. But let's get to the books. We'll do those real quick, and I'll show you some other goodies that I've got here too. So I ended up picking up a copy of Before Watchmen. This is the Minutemen #1. I might have this, but again, I go back to my love of Darwin Cook artwork, and I picked up issue #3 as well of that. I may already have these, but again, for $1, I don't mind picking those up again just to read even. Here's a copy of the Ultimates #8 from the very first series with Brian Hitch doing the art there, and love this series. I know a lot of people did. I actually own, I want to say 3 or 4 pages from the original, well, the first 2, I think a few from the first 12 issues, and then the second series from the Ultimates. I think I own at least 1 page from that. So just a big fan of the book. There's not any key significance to this, although this cover really alludes to what they kind of did with the Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch relationship, the brother-sister relationship in the book. They really kind of pushed the boundaries on that, and this cover sort of illustrates that a little bit. And then I ran across a batch of books that I can't pass up for $1. Only one of them is technically a key, but this first one here is one of my all-time favorite issues. I love this issue. I like it better than issue #1. It is issue #2 of The Miracle Man, I shouldn't say The Miracle Man. And this is, of course, when Kid Miracle Man reveals that he's still been, all these years, he's been Kid Miracle Man. He's much more powerful than the original. So, came past that up for $1. So they had a little run of them there. There's issue #5. I think you got Alan Davis art by this point. You got #6, #7. Here. Getting too many books up there. Issue #8. And the one that's actually the only real key, I guess, out of this right here is #9. And of course, it's because they have the graphic depiction of Miracle Man's baby in this. I mean, it's very adult. It shows a lot, and that's kind of the controversy on this book right there. So those are really good. And then I wasn't quite done yet. We ended up finding this is issue #53 of New Avengers. This is where Brother Voodoo becomes the Sorcerer Supreme. This really cool Scott Bakula, if I'm saying that right, guys. Issue #192 of the Uncanny X-Men. Actually, I'm sorry, of just X-Men, sorry. That's a cover by, guys. I love that Rogue cover. And then can't pass up any of these X-Men #1s by Jim Lee for $1. I think I've actually got a small stack of these from my original run back when the book was coming out. I picked up multiple copies of every one of these covers, just like everybody else. I mean, it wasn't just one of the most printed comics in all of time. Well, I've got a bunch of them myself. Darker Image #1, and this has actually been showing up on some other channels recently. This right here, you've got the first appearance of Bloodwolf and the first appearance of Deathblow. Here is Secret Wars #4. You got this really good God Emperor Doom cover right here by Alex Ross. Now, this is a free comic book day comic with the Suicide Squad #1, and it's got the same cover as the regular Suicide Squad did for the New 52. It's the same cover. I don't think this one has a lot of value, but I still love that cover, and this was a really nice copy. And I picked up Legends #6. This is that 6-issue miniseries by John Byrne, and in that series, you've got the first Amanda Waller. Of course, we know her from, most people will know her from the DCU movies, Suicide Squad, where she's portrayed by, I can't remember her name, but across multiple movies, they've portrayed that character. This is not her first appearance, but this is actually, this in here is when they reintroduced the new Justice League. And if you remember back in the 80s, they went through when they finished up and they canceled the Justice League of America book. And we know it was such a C-plus team, I mean, of the members at the time. And they ended the series, and then when they relaunched the Justice League, here's your new Justice League. You got all the classic people back again. And then the last book I picked up from TBC and their dollar sale was this here. This is X-Men Annual. Which one is this? Annual number 9. Of course, you've got this Art Adams cover with Storm. It's a homage to the Thor cover, the first issue of Journey into Mystery 83. And that was my batch from the comic shop. And like I said, I cut it short just because I wanted to get out of there. I wanted to watch the game. And I could have stayed there longer. I mean, there was people in there, they had extra long boxes you could pick up and literally throw your books in. People were buying hundreds of dollars probably worth of books. Well, I pretty much finished up, went and got something to eat, and I'm listening to the game. And man, I tell you, if you're a Dolphins fan, that was one of the greatest games you will have ever watched. I mean, 10 touchdowns, over 350 yards of running offense, 350 yards of passing offense. Just unbelievable. I think they punted once during the game, and I'm just hoping that that momentum will carry over for the rest of the season. So far, it's turning out to be a pretty special year, but you know, as a Dolphins fan, I've had to live with a lot of disappointment over the years since Marino and Shula retired. I mean, we had a couple good years there at the beginning of the 2000s when you had Ricky Williams and, hey, Jay Fiedler. He's still one of my favorite Dolphins quarterbacks. And they still had a pretty good defense at the time. And that kind of brings me to a couple of the other things that I picked up here. And we don't always do comics on the show, but since we're talking about the Dolphins, I'll show you some couple things I picked up. Picked up a new mini helmet, and this is Jason Taylor on there. Of course, Jason Taylor started with the Dolphins in the late 90s and played through, I think, 2006 or 7. Went to the Redskins, came back to the Dolphins, went to where else did he go? Went to the Jets, and he came back again for a third stint with the Dolphins. But all-time great defensive end for the Miami Dolphins. So I picked up a mini helmet there. And then I also, because I'm on a kick now ever since the National Sports Collectors Convention to pick these up, for a lot less than I was finding at the convention, I picked up another helmet, and this is signed by the Hall of Famer Dwight Stevenson. Now, he played from, I believe, 80 to 87, so he got to play with David Woodley and Don Strock, and then he played those first formative years with Dan Marino, but just one of the all-time greatest centers of all time. So that was my Dolphin stash for today, and again, I couldn't resist wearing the jersey when I realized I was going to show off the helmets, and I'm filming this right after watching that drubbing of the Denver Broncos. That was unbelievable. Again, guys, if you haven't got a chance to go back and watch that game, I'm bragging, it's my team, but I've never seen an offense look that unstoppable. I mean, even the greatest show on earth with Kurt Warner and the guys on the Rams in the late 90s. I mean, this offense just right now is just clicking on all cylinders. So, God willing, we're going to keep it up. But I've got one more special bonus for today, and this is an eBay. Well, the helmets were from eBay, but I've got one thing I did pick up from eBay, and we are going to go back to comics for a second. And this is this right here, and it is a controversial comic book because it's coming from a controversial movie, and it's something you probably will never see again. Not the comic, but you'll never see that movie out again. And this is this right here. This is 4-color, $6.93, and this is, of course, Briar Rabbit with Song of the South. And everybody knows this is set right after the Civil War, and it's got a lot of racist tropes in this, and I don't know, it's one of those things where, like on Disney Plus, you're not allowed to watch it. You're not allowed to watch these things, and it kind of piques my interest to see something like this still out there and available. And I'd been looking for a copy of this when I first saw it, and I've never been able to find a good copy without paying a ton. Now, I paid a little bit of money for this, but it's definitely undervalued, especially if I think I can get it pressed. Actually, I think it would do pretty good. This is a really nice copy. Doesn't have a lot of defects, but it does, except for it does have a tear down here at the corner there. But this is an exceptional copy, and honestly, I can't wait to get that into the press and get that into the CGC at some point. But anyway, guys, that's it for today. Quick video. I want to give a shout out to the DMV comic collectors. This is the Facebook group that was putting on the swap meet, and if I sounded down on the swap meet, it wasn't because of them. It had more to do with the comic book shop, TBC, not providing enough space, and I think it could have been worked out a little bit better, and I think they'll probably try it again at a future date. I just hope there's a little bit more space. So I'm not... Anyway, sounds like I'm trying to be down on everybody here, but I'm not. DMV is a good group. If you guys get a chance, check them out on Facebook. It is DMV Comic Collectors. It is the largest comic collecting Facebook group in the Northern Virginia, DC, Maryland area. And yeah, it's a good group of guys who run this. And yeah, nothing but a good shout out for those guys. So thank you guys for hosting that. Thank you, TBC, for trying to put on this thing and just like give us a little bit of space next time, and we'll be good. But I will be back down to the shop at some point. And also check out TBC, to be continued, on their Whatnot shows. I believe it's every, It's every Sunday at 5 o'clock. I think they put a show on, and they always have some really good books. I've talked about them in the past. I've bought multiple times from them from Whatnot and got some really good books off of them over time. If you guys have any comments about any of the things that I've talked about today or showed off, definitely leave me a comment in the comment section. And if you're ever interested in any of the items I show off on the channel, just reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on my Instagram account. You can also check out what I currently have for sale on my eBay store and on my Shortbox page. So that's it. Enough of the sales pitch. I'm out of here. You guys have a great day. And remember, every comic has a story.